Welcome back. The suspect in that deadly shooting rampage inside a crowded Colorado movie theater goes back to court tomorrow. 24-year-old James Holmes is expected to be formally charged in last week's massacre that left 12 dead and dozens injured. It's since been revealed that he had been seeing a psychiatrist, but how it will affect his defense still remains to be determined. One of the victims, who's still in the hospital, has suffered a miscarriage. It is the second child Ashley Moser has lost as a result of this. Her 6-year-old daughter, Veronica, pictured here, was the youngest victim to die last week. The family issued a statement saying the extreme trauma the mom sustained caused the miscarriage. She faces a tough road ahead as well, not just emotionally, but physically, undergoing another surgery just yesterday. She had been shot in the neck and the abdomen. If you'd like to help, you can make a donation into the account for Ashley and Veronica Moser at any Wells Fargo bank.
I just want to leave you with two things. And one is, if this coward could have done this with this much hate, imagine what we can do with this much love. And the other thing is, if you're putting your dreams on hold, you stop that right now. You chase those dreams. You don't know how long you have here.
That was the brother of another shooting victim saying goodbye to her yesterday. Mourners attended the funeral for 24-year-old Jessica Gowie at a San Antonio church. Gowie was an aspiring broadcaster whose life was cut short. 3 other shooting victims were remembered in services this weekend: Matt McQuinn, Alex Teves, and Navy Petty Officer John T. Larimer. Despite the shooting that's left many wondering why, we are reminded about the strength of the human spirit, reflected so poignantly in forgiveness that has emerged out of Aurora. Today, one of the survivors of that theater shooting, Pierce O'Farrell, will return to his regular Sunday morning routine, church. I had a chance to visit with him before I left Colorado, and he told me he plans to pray for the shooter. For the first time since the shooting, Pierce O'Farrell didn't wake up Thursday morning in a hospital bed.
There's a different smell in the air, it seems, when you're out of the hospital.
Pierce never thought he would live to tell his story about what happened inside Theater 9. He was sitting in the 3rd row, just 1 seat from the aisle, right near the exit door where the shooter entered.
When I saw him, literally everything almost seemed like it stopped. Like everything was in slow motion. I couldn't even hear the movie anymore. I couldn't hear anything. Like literally I could feel like I could hear his footsteps walking into the theater. I mean, I was just locked in on him.
Pierce immediately noticed the suspected shooter's body armor and gas mask.
It was just a presence, you know. I mean, literally it was like I could feel like just a cloud of evil just walking into the theater.
He was so close, Pierce saw the gunman throw the tear gas, then open fire. Pierce was hit 3 times, twice in his left foot by both the shotgun and assault rifle, and then again with the Glock pistol in his upper arm. The bullet shattered his bones.
My whole left side of my body was just radiating pain. So I didn't know if it was in the arm, I didn't know if it was in the back, but really, I mean, that bullet just hit me and it just rocked me.
Pierce dove to the ground and covered his head. He could taste blood in his mouth and noticed it starting to pool around his head on the floor. When the shooting stopped for a moment, he tried to make it to the exit with his friend who had been shot in the leg. Pierce collapsed. His friend, thinking he was dead, escaped. Pierce's head was just inches from the gunman's boot.
And I could just feel his presence in the theater. I mean, I could feel him walking around me. I'm almost...
A shadow.
Yeah, a shadow. And I could just feel it over me.
Pierce, who is deeply spiritual, thought the gunman was going to kill him. So he started praying and made peace with dying. Then he started thinking about his brother and father and realized he didn't want them to blame God for his death. At that very moment, he says, the gunman simply walked away.
I could feel the evil just running out of that theater. And then all of a sudden, he just calmly walked to his car.
You think God was in the theater with you that night?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You think he saved you?
Yes. There's no doubt in my mind that God saved me. And I have prayed so hard for the last year for the Lord to just give me a chance to show the world who he is. To show the world.
And you think this was his way?
He is. I do. I believe that he saved me out of that theater so I can just show the world that there is light.
To those who say this wouldn't have happened if God was in the theater, Pierce says he believes God's hand created 2 miracles. The shooter's rifle jammed, and the bombs at his apartment never went off, preventing the loss of even more people. Pierce has already found it in his heart to forgive the man who nearly killed him. and hopes one day to meet him and pray with him. What would you say to him?
I would say, I forgive you, and I would ask him if I could pray for him. And because the truth is, every person on this world deserves forgiveness, and every one of us need to pay for the sins that we've committed. But I also pray that he gets life in prison, and I just pray in those 40, 50 years that somehow, some way, God can find his way into his heart and forgive.
And if you would like to help victims